They made us laugh in the darkest of places. Hogan's heroes turned a Nazi POW camp into a stage for clever escapes, hilarious schemes, and unforgettable one-liners. But while the audience laughed, the cast carried secrets far more painful than any script could reveal. From the shocking and unsolved murder of leading man Bob Crane to Robert Clary's real-life nightmare surviving the Holocaust, Hogan's Heroes was more than a sitcom. It was a mirror of tragedy hidden behind comedy. Today, we uncover the untold stories behind the laughter and the haunting truth they never showed on screen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more powerful Hollywood stories. Let's dive in. John Banner as Sergeant Hans Schultz. John Banner was born on January 28, 1910, in Stanislaw, Austria-Hungary, now Ukraine, and became forever linked to the role of Sergeant Schultz in Hogan's Heroes. When the show began in 1965, he was 55 years old, portraying the bumbling, kind-hearted guard known for the iconic line, "I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing." The role not only brought laughter, but also made Banner a beloved face across America. Though behind the humor lay a life full of hardship. Born into a Jewish family, Banner experienced tragedy early on, fleeing Austria in 1938 as Nazi power spread, leaving loved ones behind. In the U.S., he quickly learned English and joined the U.S. Air Force, serving faithfully through World War II. But the painful memory of his family's murder in the Holocaust became a wound that never healed. Those losses made Banner deeply uncomfortable with being typecast as Nazis in films, even though those roles were his only way to survive in the industry. Despite his fame from Hogan's Heroes, Banner's personal life was marked by loneliness. He went through 2 marriages, had no children, and spent much of his time touring and working, trying to lose himself in his craft. His later roles in films like The Wicked Dreams of Paula Schultz, 1968, and The Chicago Teddy Bears brought little lasting joy as his health declined and his past continued to haunt him. On January 28, 1973, on his 63rd birthday, John Banner died suddenly in Vienna from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm, a deadly medical emergency that came too fast to treat. At the time, he was resting with friends seeking peace after years of work-related stress. His net worth was estimated at around $1 million, a modest sum for a lifetime spent bringing laughter to audiences. Ivan Dixon as Sergeant James Kinchlow. Ivan Dixon was born on April 6, 1931 in Harlem, New York, and brought to life the calm, intelligent communications specialist Sergeant James Kinchlow in Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1965, he was 34 years old. Kinchlow wasn't just a supporting character. He became a rare symbol of racial equality on American television during the turbulent 1960s. The son of immigrant working-class parents, Dixon grew up in Harlem, where he witnessed firsthand the struggles and injustices faced by Black Americans. Even after establishing himself in entertainment, he regularly encountered subtle racism, from being limited in the roles he was offered to facing quiet rejections. The growing tension led him to leave Hogan's Heroes after 5 seasons, turning away from the safety of fame to pursue directing, where he hoped to tell meaningful stories about his community. Dixon made his mark with The Spook Who Sat by the Door, 1973. Though the film faced government pressure and was pulled from theaters due to its sensitive subject matter, behind his successes were years of battling prejudice and obstacles that he rarely spoke about publicly, but that weighed heavily on him. Despite his achievements, Dixon always carried a deep concern for social justice and the responsibility of art in history. His personal life was steadier. He shared decades of companionship with his wife Burley Ray, whom he met in college, and together they had 4 children, but tragedy still found him. 2 of his sons passed away before him, leaving a quiet grief that he rarely revealed. On March 16, 2008, Ivan Dixon died at age 76 in Charlotte, North Carolina, after a long battle with kidney failure. His net worth at the time was estimated at around $1 million. built from a career that combined courageous acting and directing. Leon Ascin as General Albert Burkhalter. Leon Ascin was born on September 18, 1907 in Vienna, Austria, and became famous for his role as General Albert Burkhalter, the strict general who was often outsmarted by the prisoners in Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1965, he was 58 years old, and with his sharp yet charming performance, Ascin made Burkhalter one of the most unforgettable characters on North American television. But behind the bright lights of the set was a life shattered by war. As a Jew, Ascin was brutally beaten by the SA and SS and was forced to flee his homeland in 1940. The greatest tragedy of his life was the horrific death of his parents in the Treblinka death camp, a scar on his soul that stayed with him to the end. After escaping to the U.S., Ascin joined the military, serving as a sergeant in the U.S. Air Force during World War II, and only after the war ended did he feel safe enough to return to acting. Ascin built an impressive career in Hollywood, though most of his roles were supporting characters or those requiring a heavy accent. In addition to Hogan's Heroes, he appeared in 1, 2, 3, The Robe Happy Days, and many other television series. Despite his fame, Ascin always lived in the shadow of painful memories of his lost family and homeland. Leon Ascin passed away on June 3, 2005 in Vienna at the age of 97 after a long and eventful life. His net worth at the time was estimated at around $2 million, mostly from his steady career in Hollywood and on stage. He rests at Vienna Central Cemetery, closing a journey marked at every turn by tragedy. Bob Crane as Colonel Hogan. Bob Crane was born on July 13, 1928 in Connecticut, and was a talented actor, drummer, and DJ. When he was 37 years old in 1965, he became a household name on television playing Colonel Hogan in Hogan's Heroes, the sharp, resourceful officer who led American POWs in sabotaging Nazi schemes. The role earned Crane 2 Emmy nominations and propelled him to the height of fame. But after Hogan's Heroes ended in 1971, Crane's career spiraled downward. Bit parts in films like Superdad 1973, Gus 1976, and the failed sitcom The Bob Crane Show 1975 couldn't revive his star power. His personal life was equally stormy. After 21 years of marriage, he divorced his first wife and tertian mother of his 3 children to marry co-star Seagrid Valdis Hilda in the show in 1970. That marriage soon fell apart and they separated before his death. What made Crane's life even more tragic was a dark secret few knew. He became addicted to filming sexual encounters with his friend John Henry Carpenter, a Sony employee. What began as a thrill turned into a destructive obsession that alienated him from Hollywood and ruined his public image. On June 29, 1978, while on tour with the play Beginner's Luck in Scottsdale, Arizona, Bob Crane was brutally murdered in his apartment at age 49. His body was found with blunt force injuries and an electrical cord wrapped around his neck. The case shocked the nation, and to this day the true killer has never been identified. Carpenter was tried but acquitted. The mystery surrounding Crane's death, combined with his troubled life, made him one of Hollywood's most infamous tragedies. At the time of his death, Bob Crane's net worth was estimated at around $2 million, all of which went to his second wife, fueling even more speculation about his untimely end. His grave now rests beside Seagrid Valdis at Westwood Village Memorial Park, marked with the inscription, "Hogan and Hilda forever together, a bittersweet farewell for a star gone too soon." Larry Hovis as Sergeant Andrew Carter. Larry Hovis was born on February 20, 1936 in Wapato, Washington, and became well known as Sergeant Andrew Carter, the eager, slightly clumsy explosives expert in Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1965, he was 29 years old, winning audiences over with a character full of innocence and courage, helping to shape the show's success. Hovis had once been a promising singer, signing with Capitol Records and performing in nightclubs. But behind his many talents lay years of pressure to survive in a tough entertainment world. Shifting from music to acting, he struggled for recognition and later faced disappointment as a producer, especially with projects like Totally Hidden Video, which drew heavy criticism and legal disputes. These career setbacks created quiet moments of sadness in his life, though he continued contributing to theater and teaching at Texas State University in his later years. Hovis kept his personal life private and was free of scandal. But tragedy struck when he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, a serious illness often linked to the stressful, fast-paced lifestyles of entertainers at the time. Despite his resilience, the disease slowly drained his strength. On September 9, 2003, Larry Hovis passed away in Austin, Texas at age 67, ending a life of quiet dedication to the arts. His net worth at the time was estimated at about $700,000, a modest sum compared to the diverse, passionate career he led. Seagrid Valdis as Hilda. Seagrid Valdis born Patricia Annette Olson on September 21, 1935, in Bakersfield, California, became famous for her role as Hilda, the seductive, mysterious secretary to Colonel Klink in Hogan's Heroes. When she joined the show in 1966, she was 31 years old, leaving a lasting impression with her beauty and subtle performance. But behind that glamorous image lay a life filled with turmoil and heartache. Valdis had been married to businessman George Ate and had a daughter before fate brought her together with Bob Crane on set. Their relationship quickly became the subject of gossip as Crane divorced his first wife and married Valdis in 1970. The marriage threw her into the media spotlight, especially after Crane's brutal unsolved murder in 1978, a crime that shook the nation. The shock led Valdis to withdraw completely from show business, abandoning her rising career to protect her child from the public eye. In the years that followed, Valdis lived quietly, slowly healing from her emotional trauma and focusing on raising her family in peace. She moved to Seattle, contributed to her son's radio show, and eventually returned to Westwood in her final years. Although she stepped away from the spotlight, Valdis could never fully escape the shadow of her husband's infamous murder and the public's ongoing speculation. In 2007, after battling lung cancer, a disease often linked to the smoking habits common among performers of her era, Seagrid Valdis died in Anaheim, California at age 72. Her net worth at the time was estimated at about $500,000, built largely from her quiet work and efforts managing Bob Crane's legacy. Bernard Fox as Colonel Rodney Crittenden. Bernard Fox, born Bernard Lawson on May 11, 1927 in Port Talbot, Wales, came from a family with 5 generations of theatrical tradition. When he was 38 years old, he became a familiar face to American audiences as Colonel Rodney Crittenden, the bumbling British officer whose mistakes often ruined Hogan's plans in Hogan's Heroes 1965. With his clumsy yet endearing portrayal, Fox made Crittenden a beloved character and established himself as one of the most popular comedy stars of the era. Fox's career spanned stage, television, and film. He was known for his role as Dr. Bombay on Bewitched and appeared in major films like Titanic 1997 and The Mummy 1999. However, behind the laughter he brought to audiences were years of dealing with the pressures of the profession and the challenges of aging. His personal life remained private and free of scandal, but as he grew older, his health declined, limiting his ability to continue contributing to the arts. On December 14, 2016, Bernard Fox died in Los Angeles of heart failure at age 89. His net worth at the time was estimated at about $1 million, largely from his decades of dedicated work in entertainment. His role as Crittenden, along with his signature humorous British accent, remains a cherished memory for fans of classic television. Verr Clumper as Colonel Klink. Verr Clumper was born on March 22, 1920, in Cologne, Germany, and brought unforgettable life to Colonel Klink, the bumbling, self-important commandant of Stalag 13 in Hogan's Heroes. When he began the role in 1965, he was 45 years old. His hilarious portrayal earned him back-to-back Emmy Awards in 1968 and 1969. Few knew that Clumper's life was shadowed by hardship and inner turmoil from a young age. The son of famed conductor Otto Klemper, he fled Nazi Germany with his family in 1933. His childhood was marked by exile loss and the lingering fear of persecution, leaving him with a lifelong sense of unease. Although the family found success in America, living under the immense shadow of his father created constant pressure for Werner to prove himself on stage and screen. These emotional scars also affected his love life. He went through 3 marriages that each ended in heartbreak. His marriage to Susan Dempsey, mother of his children Mark and Erica, ended painfully. At the peak of his fame with Hogan's Heroes, he married actress Louise Troy in 1969, but that too ended in divorce by 1975. It wasn't until his final years that he found lasting peace with his partner Kim Hamilton, who remained by his side until the end. Behind the laughs, as Klink Werner carried a deep inner tension. Even as he succeeded in films like Judgment at Nuremberg 1961 or earned acclaim on Broadway and Cabaret 1987, he wrestled with loneliness, haunted by the past and the harsh glare of fame. Sleepless nights and unhealed wounds from failed marriages wore him down, though he always appeared calm to the world. On December 6, 2000, Werner Klemperer died at age 80 from lung cancer, a sad consequence of his long-time smoking habit, common among artists of his era. He passed away quietly at his home in Manhattan, leaving behind a net worth estimated at about $5 million, the result of a lifetime of dedicated artistic work. Robert Clary as Le Beau. Robert Clary was born on March 1, 1926 in Paris, and became known for playing Le Beau, the clever, quick-witted French cook in Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1965, he was 39 years old. But behind the cheerful character was a man who had survived unimaginable horrors. Born into a Jewish family with 14 siblings, Clary faced the hell of the Holocaust at just 16. Deported to a concentration camp, he bore the tattoo A5714 on his arm as a mark of that trauma. 10 of his siblings never came back. In the darkness of Buchenwald, Clary sang for the SS guards, clinging to every note as a lifeline. After his liberation in 1945, the memory of waking each morning beside lifeless bodies haunted him for the rest of his life. After arriving in the U.S., Clary rebuilt his world, holding back tears as he took to the stage from Broadway to film. Hogan's Heroes made him famous, but also drew controversy. He often had to explain Stalag 13 was not a concentration camp. We weren't mocking the Holocaust. We were telling a comedy about prisoners of war. Clary continued acting, appearing in films like The Hindenburg 1975. But the grief of his losses never left him. His only marriage to Natalie Kaner, daughter of comedian Eddie Kaner, lasted over 30 happy years until her death in 1997. Without children, Clary dedicated his final decades to Holocaust education, traveling to share his story and remind the world never to repeat hatred. Robert Clary passed away peacefully at his Los Angeles home on November 16, 2022, at age 96. His net worth at the time was estimated at about $3 million, the reward of a lifetime of effort, not only in entertainment, but in spreading a message of tolerance. Richard Dawson as Corporal Peter Newkirk. Richard Dawson was born on November 20, 1932 in Gosport, England, and made his mark as Corporal Peter Newkirk in Hogan's Heroes. When he started the role in 1965, he was 33 years old, playing the smart, resourceful British soldier whose charm won over American audiences. But behind the fame lay a life of hardship and struggle. As a child, Dawson was scarred by war, evacuated with his brother to escape bombings which disrupted his schooling. At just 14, he ran away to join the British Merchant Navy, roaming the world to survive even boxing for cash on ships. Those early years forged his toughness, but left his youth marked by loneliness and longing for family. Fame found Dawson not long after Hogan's Heroes, when he became a hit on Match Game and Family Feud. Audiences loved his humor and wit, though his habit of kissing female contestants on live TV sparked debate. He called it a gesture of good luck and friendliness, but it drew mixed reactions. Despite his success, loneliness persisted. His first marriage to actress Diana Dors ended in 1966 amid media scrutiny, leaving him weary and regretful. Dawson later found late in life happiness with his second wife Gretchen Johnson, whom he met when she was a Family Feud contestant. They married in 1991 and had a daughter, giving him a sense of peace. Still, his health declined, partly due to years of smoking, a habit inseparable from his image on and off screen. On June 2, 2012, Richard Dawson passed away in Los Angeles at age 79 after battling esophageal cancer. His net worth was estimated at about $2 million, the fruit of a career dedicated to entertainment. He now rests at Westwood Memorial Park, closing the chapter on a life full of ups and downs. Howard Kane as Major Wolfgang Hochstetter. Howard Kane, born Howard Elmer Cohen on January 2, 1926 in Nashville, Tennessee, became a familiar face to audiences as Major Wolfgang Hochstetter, the strict Gestapo officer repeatedly outwitted by Hogan in Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1967, he was 41 years old. And with his talent for accents and sharp acting, Kane brought to life one of TV's most memorable villains of the era. His life was one of quiet dedication. A Jewish boy with a passion for the arts, Kane served in the U.S. Navy during World War II before finding success on Broadway and eventually in film and television. Beyond Hogan's Heroes, he made his mark in Judgment at Nuremberg, 1776, and Watermelon Man. Away from the spotlight, Kane found joy in simpler things. He loved playing the banjo and singing folk music, winning more than 29 awards at Southern traditional competitions, a passion that helped him balance fame in real life. But tragedy struck unexpectedly on December 28, 1993, just days before his 68th birthday, when Howard Kane died of a heart attack in Los Angeles. His net worth at the time was estimated at about $600,000 earned from a long career on stage and screen. His sudden passing was a shock as he was still actively working with many plans and dreams left unfinished. Cynthia Lynn as Helga. Cynthia Lynn, born Zinta Valda Zelis on April 2, 1937, in Riga, Latvia, fled Europe's horrors of World War II at the age of 8, with her mother carrying both fear and hope for a new life. After a difficult journey, they reached the U.S. in 1950. From refugee beginnings, Lynn gradually found her way into acting. And when she was 28 years old, she rose to fame as Fräulein Helga, the charming secretary to Colonel Klink in the first season of Hogan's Heroes, 1965. Her initial success on Hogan's Heroes brought her closer to audiences, but her career didn't last as long as she had hoped. After season 1, her role was replaced by Hilda Seagrid Valdis, and she only returned for 2 special episodes. Aside from a few small parts in Mission Impossible, the $6 Million Man and Harry O. Lynn gradually stepped away from the spotlight. Her personal life was also turbulent. She had a relationship with co-star Bob Crane, which fueled rumors and backstage tension. Notably, her daughter Lisa claimed to be the result of a brief but scandalous affair between Lynn and Marlon Brando. Cynthia Lynn passed away on March 10, 2014 in Los Angeles at age 76 from multiple organ failure after battling hepatitis, a quiet disease that had slowly eroded her health. Her net worth at the time was estimated at about $300,000, built from her years in entertainment and her memoir, Escaped to Freedom 2000. Kenneth Washington as Sergeant Richard Baker. Kenneth Washington was born on October 19, 1946 in the U.S., and left his mark on audiences with his role as Sergeant Richard Baker in the popular television series Hogan's Heroes. When he joined the show in 1970, he was about 24 years old, stepping in to replace Ivan Dixon, who played Kinchlow for the final season. Though he appeared late in the series and stayed for just 1 season, Washington brought to life a calm, intelligent communications expert who embodied teamwork and reliability. Even as the show was nearing its end, Baker made his own impression thanks to Washington's natural, genuine performance and strong chemistry with the main cast. Before Hogan's Heroes, Kenneth Washington had appeared in various television shows, including Doctari, and gained particular attention as Officer Miller in Adam 12. He also had a role in Star Trek as Engineer John B. Watkins in a single episode. Unlike many of his contemporaries, however, Washington seemed untouched by the glamour and scandals of the entertainment world. After his early success, he gradually stepped away from the spotlight, choosing a quiet, modest life over the public eye. Throughout his life, Kenneth Washington stayed clear of scandals, professional accidents, or personal tragedies reported by the press. He also rarely appeared at public events or anniversary conventions, unlike many of his Hogan's Heroes co-stars, many of whom later faced hardship or controversy. His choice to live discreetly and simply allowed him to preserve his privacy and peace. By 2025, Kenneth Washington is 79 years old. He is one of the last two surviving main cast members of Hogan's Heroes alongside Nita Talbot. His net worth is estimated at around $300,000, reflecting a life that prioritized peace and simplicity over fame and fortune, far from the complexities of the entertainment industry. From the shocking murder of Bob Crane to Robert Clary's painful memories of war, the tragedies of the Hogan's Heroes cast leave us with a sense of sorrow. Yet their legacy lives on in the smiles they brought to the world. Whose story moved you the most? Share your thoughts and follow us to uncover more secrets of Hollywood.